Yes, very good point. And a number of people who are in this field have already suggested that what we really need as a society is a Manhattan-style project. The Manhattan Project was the one that developed the atomic bomb during World War II period. But we really need a Manhattan-style project to focus on these energy technologies because it's a major problem of national security at the highest level. And yet our government is not in the position or is not willing to do that. And so it's really going to be up to the people to do this. What we're doing with the Orion Project is at present, as we've gotten or received some money from donations, we are starting to support some of these projects, the ones that look most promising, at a low level or initial level to get going on this. For example, this example that I just gave you a few minutes ago with this engineer and the electronics person. But in reality, we can speed that process up many-fold by having the various scientists and engineers in the same place, working, bumping into each other on a daily basis. And it's in that kind of environment that you can really spin up things fast because there's a commonality of interaction and excitement that comes from having people in the same place. And this is what our goal is with the Orion Project, is to raise a rather modest amount of money, actually, $3 million or so, to be able to do that. And we feel within a year, 12 to 18 months, with the technologies that we know of already and those that will come out of this environment, that we can have technology that could be do what we wish to do, and that is have something that could be set on a desktop or sit on the floor the size of a large air conditioner or a heat pump or whatever else that could provide energy enough to run a small household.
Well, and exactly, this is what our goal is. Our initial goal, so everyone understands it, is to come up with a very robust system that's in the multi-kilowatt range that's free energy. And by free energy, I mean it's a closed-loop system off the grid that's extracting energy from the environmental, either electromagnetic flux field or an environmental temperature gradient like a heat pump does, that is creating enough energy to run your home and to do so on a reliable basis. I mean, this is our initial objective. We know it can be done because it has been done before. Unfortunately, a lot of these inventions and technologies have been seized illegally. We have about 5,000 such inventions that have been seized at the patent office level, and at where they have been issued Section 181s have been seized. I recently had a call from a person who works with a senior member of Congress who is chairman of a very important committee, who some years ago, this person who's very close members with this members of Congress, very close friends with this member of Congress, had been taken to a facility associated with the Oak Ridge National Laboratories, and it was an enormous facility filled with confiscated and experimental devices as these are we're describing, and they are locked away. And this person was utterly stunned that all these solutions to the environmental, global warming, Mideast oil crisis, energy independence issue, environmental issues, world poverty issues are sitting there locked away. And a lot of people think, well, God, this has got to be some kind of urban myth, but it isn't, because we have so many people who have worked in those projects and seen them, and yet they haven't gotten out. The OrionProject.org is a chance for us to all say, enough of that nonsense. It's time for we the people to come together and do it. And we've been very disclosure with the DisclosureProject.org in getting testimony and evidence on illegally run projects. Now it's time for us to actually put a machine together that proves the physics and technology, and we're confident can happen if we get the support. And I think the public has to understand that, well, Ted, you and I went down to this island in the Caribbean where we met a man that had basically a more modern-day version of what we have at the OrionProject.org website, a description of the Stubblefield Earth Battery. And it's one of the damnedest things I've ever seen. This guy, of course, never wanted to really cooperate with bringing it out. I think he was variously intimidated and for various other reasons couldn't do it. But we went out there and tested with our own equipment this thing, and he had 6 stakes in the ground and a capacitor and a little wire going from that to this generator that was putting out 400 watts of power, running stereos and fans, anything you want at 110 volts and 60 hertz, just like you plug something into your wall socket. And the only source of energy was that it was using the earth as a resonance field for collecting this electromagnetic energy and running things. Well, it turns out that the guy named Stubblefield did this in 1902 or even earlier, but Nikola Tesla in Stubblefield had taken this to Congress and was demonstrating it to our leaders back in 1902, 106 years ago. And yet here we sit on phones, at least here in Virginia, that are being powered by coal-fired electric plants like in the mid-18 and late 1800s. I mean, this is just plain crazy. If you take a step back from this and think that these kinds of technology breakthroughs have been around for 100 years, and we're still getting 55 or 56% of our electricity in the United States from burning coal, blowing up mountaintops and digging it out of the ground and spewing this nasty stuff into the air and water and destroying the land, when we haven't needed coal or gas or oil since anyone listening to this interview and this radio show was born. There's no one listening to this show who is alive that since we've needed any of these fossil fuels. And you have to begin to ask the question, the big question, why? Well, you know, it's someone's $300 trillion piggy bank of oil and gas and coal that's sitting in the ground, and that's a very powerful group of folks who benefit, but they're killing the earth and strangling the world's economy, and they're going to bring all of us to our knees here real soon if we don't find a solution and bring these things out. So I think the people have to rise up and say, look, this is America. We are innovative and creative. You know, the land of Jefferson, the land of Edison, the land of all these great breakthroughs in technology. Certainly we can come together and form a small campus here near the University of Virginia, a small research facility, and have a dozen or so of these brilliant engineers and scientists working there and come up with a solution. I'm confident we can do it if the public will support it because, you know, Ted, you and I have seen these sort of technologies that have existed, but none of the inventors and engineers that have them have been able to get them up to snuff, as it were, and ready for prime time on their own because they, as you said, they either lack the funding or they lack the expertise to take it to the next level, and that's what we've got to provide for them. I mean, the people have already provided that in classified funding. There's $100 billion a year going into illegal so-called black budget funding. But you know what? Unfortunately, the people in Washington don't want to change that. So what I think we have to do is say, well, we're going to change it, and the people can do so. And one thing that I think folks need to do, and I think this is real important, is that they need to go to the orionproject.org, see what we're doing. There's a budget up there. It's very specific, and it reviews the kinds of technologies we're working on, which we'll talk about a little further. And what we really need to have happen is all of us this week are getting this $600 check from the IRS in addition to our tax refund checks. That's sort of an unexpected windfall that everyone's getting to be economic stimulus. Well, you know, most people are going to go and buy junk at Walmart or put it in a bank account, getting 2 or 3%, and the dollar's becoming less and less valuable every day. It's lost 50% of its value since the euro was launched against the European currency. What I would suggest is that if 5,000 of us who are listening on this World Puja Network right now would take their $600 check and make a donation at the orionproject.org, we would have this budget and could open this facility this summer. And you know, you get a tax deduction from it, but you also, this is funds that nobody was really expecting to get, that Uncle Sam and the great wisdom of the Bush administration and the Congress have decided to send back to us as a way of stimulating the economy, which in and of itself is ludicrous. What's really going to stimulate the economy, in my opinion, is that we combine these little checks we're getting, which really amount to nothing for most people. You know, it barely doesn't even offset the increase in the price of gasoline we have to pay and oil to heat our homes and electric bills. But we take those funds, put it into the orionproject.org, And